Who got the first Riggy tattoo? Recently, Bundon held a tournament that said if he reached a certain view count on stream, he'll get whatever the top comment said tattooed on his body. Anyway, Dano decided to rig the vote by getting all of his subscribers to like his comment. This led to Bundon getting the first ever Riggy tattoo, and apparently free merch per their agreement. But this did lead to Riggy getting a matching tattoo with Bundon on it instead, so I guess this officially counts as canon to Riggy lore. However, I regret to inform you that this does not tell us anything about the series. How unfortunate. Is Riggy dangerous to Toonville? We've talked a lot about the prophecy, and we know it's connected to the monsters Purple Fire, A Dream, Lucky, and Riggy. But after learning more about Riggy's portals, it led me back to this file, Lucky's redacted file. While this is a file about Lucky, you'll notice that some of these descriptions match up to someone else as well. Both have had the dream, both wear gloves, and both aren't against being famous or having others worship them. But what really catches my eye here is having access to out there. As far as we know, Riggy has been the only one travelling between universes. If this is what they are referring to, then this is a major detail. So unless Lucky also has access to travelling between worlds, this file could be completely about the wrong character. Is Riggy in danger? Enemies from Toonville have suddenly started attacking Riggy, and recently we've learnt that either Riggy opened a portal to Toonville or his enemies have found a way to open one themselves. At least that's what we've gathered from the last short, meaning we're likely going to see more enemies start to show themselves, all with the dead set goal of defeating Riggy. But now I'm confused, because while Riggy can only die in the Tooniverse, the same can't be said about his enemies. Granted, we don't know for certain if this leprechaun is actually dead, but it's heavily implied. If so, could it be that it's nothing to do with the cartoon logic and more to do with Riggy himself? Or am I just reading into this a bit too much? That's unlikely. I finally figured it out. If you've been wondering why I haven't been active recently, it's because I've been theorising, and I'm ready to tell you all what I've found. Not only have I figured out what the toilet means, but I also know who the Red Rabbit is, or why there's a prophecy, and where did the shadow come from, and why Rosie was at Billy's funeral, and why Lucky is evil. And do you think this stops at Toon Turf? I found out why Clone Riggy is so ugly, why the boss looks like an anime villain, and why Dun Dun was the best clone, and why it's called a chicken burger. And I would tell you, if only YouTube Shorts weren't so short. Who is Ferric? We've seen this guy before in the lead up to the series, but we've never known his name until now. He's an orange fox seen to be quite close to Riggy, and is even suspected to be a part or the leader of Fox Gang, a group that we know Riggy was associated with. Due to a leaked image found on Twitter, we know he's going to be voiced by Cryospace, even seen sporting the same blue hoodie. But what's strange about this character is the description. He's neither disclosed as good nor a bad character. This means we can't truly pinpoint where his loyalties lie and what his impact on the series is going to be. But I find it interesting that he's associated with Fox Gang, and I feel as though we should look more into this in the future. Who is Def in Toonville? Dano confirmed that Def is a character that will be appearing in Toon Turf. What's interesting is that it's actually a friend of Riggy's, which many believe is foreshadowing Riggy's near-death encounters being very prominent in the show. That or because he contributes to the population of the underworld. When questioned about Def's character design, Dano simply responded with this gif of a dancing black cat. Is this a hint towards the future character design, or is he just messing around? Well, I think it's likely going to be a hint, considering black cats often are an omen of misfortune and death. Either way, I cannot wait to see. Why has Riggy kidnapped the Easter Bunny? Riggy has always had a grudge against the Easter Bunny, and ended up kidnapping him. Santa came to save him, but Riggy kidnapped him as well. Riggy is convinced that the Easter Bunny is evil, although that could be out of jealousy. But it begs the question, why do they hate each other so much? Well, it could just be because Riggy did just kill a leprechaun, or his consistent hatred of the Easter Bunny was mutually shared, or it could be because he shares a birthday with Toonville's own holiday, Red Rabbit's Day. Coincidence? Maybe, but I wouldn't write it off too soon. This theory has been debunked. A while back, I made a comment on the time period where Riggy replaced his red hoodie with his classic red shorts, and my comments flooded with the idea that maybe he turned his hoodie into shorts. You know, because they're both red. However, this theory has been debunked because Riggy still owns his red hoodie, and we can assume he stopped wearing it because of how damaged it became after the fire at Lucky's factory, or from typical wear and tear. As for the reason they're both red, well, it's a case of Riggy sticking to his own branding. So I guess that shows. Riggybot will return. Recently, you may have been seeing that Riggybot has been filling in for Riggy until he was later taken over by a penguin and never seen again. Except that might not be completely true. Thanks to Kayak for pointing this out on Twitter, it seems that Damo has made a playlist on his channel titled Riggybot Arc Part 1, which means this isn't the last we've seen of Riggybot. But I'll leave that up to you whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. What is Lucky's secret? Lucky has a reputation in Toonville, and that is that everyone loves Lucky. But is that only because he's hiding the truth from them? We already suspect that Lucky is involved with the drug trade involving Toonville's mafia, with certain politicians suspected for covering for him. But there seems to be something darker, more sinister going on here. And if you look at this frame here in the video, you'll see something familiar. Is that the Shadow? The Shadow is a character that we've seen before impersonating Riggy or not having a form at all. To see that it takes both the form of Lucky and Riggy at some point suggests that there is a link between the two, which may ultimately link back to the mystery that we still know nothing about, the prophecy. What do you guys think? Are we onto something here? Why does Red Rabbit Day exist? Dano confirmed that the Red Rabbit does indeed go to prison, although we aren't certain on the charges yet. However, this does lead to more questions. Red Rabbit Day is something mentioned in the police report, talking about how luckily no employees were in the factory when it burnt down because they were out celebrating Red Rabbit Day. If the Red Rabbit was the one to get arrested, then why have a positive celebration connected to them? We can also guess that the Red Rabbit knows more about their world than most residents, Lucky saying that he only saw him once and it was because of him that he found out the truth about their world. Could this be a regular holiday inspired by a part of Toonville's history? Or could this be alluding to the Red Rabbit's role within the prophecy? What do the penguins really want? Riggy got attacked again by the penguins until he sent them back through a portal to Toonville. Well, most of them. But what is it that they wanted? Well, his kidney back for starters, but as opposed to what we thought before that they stole it out of revenge, there seems to be a little bit more to that. It seems that the penguins and Lucky are working together, with one of the penguins stating that Lucky told them everything. I think that there's an actual reason as to why they need his kidney, and I believe that it links back to the prophecy. Lucky has been adamant about how he's fixed his mistakes and described Riggy as a villain of the story now in these text posts. The penguin stated that this was the only way. So what's going to happen if Riggy can't find a solution? Is Riggy a hero? Dano has started to release more teasers for Toon Turf, some being 2 frames of episode 1 and the audio from the first minute. It starts with a teacher telling the class what it takes to be a hero, and then a toddler Riggy decides that's what he wants to do in life. But then it cuts to a current Riggy standing in the purple flames holding a knife, with screams of terror echoing around him. He failed. He didn't end up becoming a hero. But then if we listen again closely, we can hear a baby crying in the background. And Riggy doesn't hurt kids. So what if those screams aren't for him? The reason he's holding a knife is because he's looking at the real monster that those screams are for. And suddenly this scene isn't a reflection on Riggy's darkest moments, but showing what he's willing to risk.